In recent years, several earthquakes have rocked Southern California, and the rising number of quakes have led to seismic inflation, one that is now contributing to the soaring property prices. People now understand the extent of damage soft soil can cause, so prices are rising. In fact, the price rise has also hit the old buildings. These buildings are still vulnerable to damage in case of any major tremors. Experts suggest that the inflated property prices could enable owners to use the money to finance retrofitting of their properties. Retrofitting the old buildings would make cities far more resilient, and it may cost far less than repairing extensive damage caused due to an earthquake. But property prices are not the only thing that's on the rise. The quakes have also drawn up the annual cost of damage in the state of California. The US Geological Survey and the Federal Emergency Management Agency have released a new report. It suggests that California is projected to lose an average of $9.6 billion a year from the damages caused by earthquakes. The figures mark a sharp rise of 157% from the last estimate of 2017, which stood at $3.7 billion a year. Los Angeles and Orange counties remain the largest contributors to these estimates. Both the areas together project an average annual loss of $3.3 billion a year. Next in line is the San Francisco, Oakland, Berkeley metro area. The region accounts a loss projection of $1.8 billion a year. California alone accounts for 65% of the nation's annual earthquake cost. US annual earthquake damage cost stands at $14.7 billion a year. If the earthquake loss projection remains the same over the next 3 decades, then California will end up losing $288 billion, while 5 counties of the Southern California region, that's LA, Orange, Riverside, San Bernardino, and Ventura alone, would lose nearly $150 billion. Let's now understand how these costs are calculated. Well, the procedure is similar to how car insurers calculate the premium people pay yearly. People might be in a collision once every few years, but insurers calculate a yearly bill for drivers. This premium takes into account the annual average projected cost of future collisions. Similarly, annual damage cost takes into account the possible damage to be caused by tremors in the years to come.
Email exchanges from inside the BBC, they talk about the risk of violating Indian laws. It's easier to rake up the freedom of speech debate, but does it give anyone a free pass to knowingly violate the law? America supports India because it needs India's support in return. And India is working with the US because it suits India's interests. This is how geopolitics works. Last night, he diffused a crisis with his defense minister. But today, Netanyahu was confronted with a new problem. His cabinet seems to have rebelled against him. The UK is looking at the Indian subcontinent to fill its coffers. That India seems to be negotiating from a position of power, like a partner and not a former colony.